Law and the Rule of Law by Judicial Learning Center. In the United States, it seems like we have laws, rules, and regulations to oversee just about everything. We don't always like these rules, since they often mean that someone is telling us what to do or keeping us from doing what we want. Yet, to live in a civil society, we must have some rules to follow. Who gets to make these rules? Where do they come from? What happens when we break them? These are the questions this page will seek to answer for you. Law. Laws are rules that bind all people living in a community. Laws protect our general safety and ensure our rights as citizens against abuses by other people, by organizations, and by the government itself. We have laws to help provide for our general safety. These exist at the local, state, and national levels and include things like laws about food and safety. At the state and local level, health departments have guidelines that restaurants follow for how to store and prepare food in a healthy manner, so that diners won't get sick. At the national level, the Department of Agriculture and other federal agencies inspect food production plants to be sure that the food that shows up in your supermarket is safe to eat. Speed limit and traffic laws exist so that we can drive in a safe manner. Licensing for doctors and nurses ensures proper training of people who look after us and who often have our lives in their hands. We also have laws that protect our rights as citizens, and which include things like laws that come from the Bill of Rights in the U.S. Constitution that guarantee our basic freedoms like freedom of speech, religion, and the press. Laws that protect us from discrimination because of our race, gender, age, or because of a disability. Now, where do laws come from? In the United States, the Constitution is the ultimate source of the law. However, it was never designed to address every specific legal question. Within the boundaries of the Constitution, there are two primary sources of law: common law and statutory law. Common law. This law comes from the judicial branch. Though the courts do not pass laws, they do interpret them. This means that the judiciary bases their legal decisions on what is written in the Constitution and on previous court rulings in similar cases. This is a process called stare decisis, which in Latin means let the decision stand. Statutory law. Statutes are laws created by the legislative branch through the lawmaking process. Statutes are written, discussed, argued, and voted on in Congress or in the legislature of the state. The courts apply and interpret these statutes on a case-by-case basis. Laws over time. The thing about living in a democracy is that the laws change over time. The laws needed in 1789, when the Constitution was born, and in 1890, 1950, or 1990 are different from the laws needed today. The legislative branch of government must seek to update laws as needed, and the judicial branch has to interpret the laws so that they can apply fairly to society at the time. For example, laws about bullying or stalking have had to be updated to consider social networking sites, cyberbullying, and cyberstalking. The original laws didn't take the internet into consideration. The rule of law. President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Ours is a government of liberty. By, through, and under the law, no man is above it, and no man is below it." Rule of Law 1. The American commitment to the rule of law means that every citizen is governed by the same laws applied through a fair and equal judicial process to resolve disputes peacefully. Rule of Law 2. Faithfulness to the rule of law allows us to live in a civil society in which everyone's rights are respected, where each of us is guaranteed liberty and equality of opportunity. Rule of Law 3. As citizens, we respect the laws because they are clearly communicated and fairly enforced. Everyone is held accountable to the same laws, and those laws protect our fundamental rights. This is the foundation of the rule of law in the United States. Rule of Law 4. The words "equal justice under law" are engraved on the front of the United States Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. These words embody the ideal of the rule of law, which is at the heart of our American democracy. And finally, Rule of Law 5. In the United States, we have written laws in place to help us settle disagreements peacefully through a fair system of justice. It is the job of the courts to interpret the laws. It is up to the judges and juries to decide if we have indeed broken the law.